All right, hello and welcome back to Jack Sports Television. I'm Brian Lyle, back on the scene along with Damian Bell and Pat Donovan. And last week we had a lot of feedback. We talked a lot about LeBron James, quote unquote, the decision, the build-up. Now that it's passed, and for those that don't know, I don't see how that's possible. He's going to Miami Heat. Now it's time to get into the aftermath. And when I say the aftermath, to me, what's most amazing about everything is the way that Pat Riley so quickly has been able to assemble this team. You know, last week before, decisions were made, you were essentially talking about a roster that had, well, they didn't have Dwayne Wade, he was a free agent. The only people they had signed, they had Mario Chalmers, they had Michael Beasley, they had Udonis Haslem as a restricted free agent, and the two guys that they drafted, Jarvis Bernardo and Dexter Pittman, rookie out of Texas. Now all of a sudden, it's amazing what Pat Riley's done by bringing in LeBron, D. Wade, Chris Bosh, Mike Miller, Zydrunas Ilgauskas taking less money to come here, along with Juwan Howard. To me, some winners just know how to win. Specifically, that's the most important thing when I think of the aftermath of everything. I don't know if you have anything you want to talk about with the aftermath, but if you do, go ahead and take the microphone.
Well, I'm disappointed with the move that he made, leaving Cleveland to go to Miami. I thought Cleveland had proven over the past 2 or 3 years that they were really willing to restructure the team around him to build a winner. And if you go by the regular season, the results were there. They were taking those steps toward getting better and better through every season. Now, I don't quite understand what happened when they hit the wall against the Celtics. People have rumored that there was some off-court stuff that happened. Maybe the Celtics just figured out how good they were at the right time. But whatever it was, it caused a mass exodus from Cleveland as far as LeBron and some of the key players that they had there. And the things that I learned about this offseason so far with the free agents was it wasn't LeBron that was the key free agent. It was Chris Bosh, because LeBron reacted to what Bosh did. When you look at how we thought Cleveland was the franchise on the way up, it was actually Miami, because they were able to use a free agent they didn't sign yet and begging for Wade County to come back, to not only him coming, but this guy, and everybody talking like they want to go to Miami all of a sudden. I've never heard this much talk about the Heat drawing people into their team, because with their success they had, they did get a championship. This is one of the more dysfunctional franchises in the league from where they started. And I remember from where they started, they looked bad. It was like the Lakers Southwest or Southeast, and they never really developed. But they did get their success, and now all of a sudden, this is the spot where players want to go. So I learned that. And the biggest thing that I learned was when everybody believes that free agents go for the money, the guy that got the most money during this free agent period was the first guy to sign, Joe Johnson, for the Hawks with a bunch of money, and nobody felt he deserved the money or was worth that much money, but he got it for staying with his team.
And I'll tell you what, Brian, a week ago you and I sat here and we made predictions, and you know what? Everybody was talking all day long that LeBron was going to the Miami Heat, and I sat here. The sources said that LeBron was going to Miami, and I sat here and I was dead wrong. I sat here and I said there is no way LeBron James leaves Cleveland tonight. There's no way the guy takes out a 1-hour special on television just to slap the Cleveland area and everybody there in the face. And you know what he did? He took the timeout on ESPN and he slapped Cleveland in the face. Not just quickly, and I said it to you a week ago, if we work together and we have a good relationship and you slap me in the face on national television, I may just forgive you one day. But if you slap me in the face for an hour straight on television, I probably never will. And I'll tell you what, Cleveland has reacted. Cleveland is furious. You saw the jerseys being burned in the street. I just told you guys, I already seen the website is up. KissMyAssLeBron.com is up and running. I was on it last night. Pretty funny website. Got some good t-shirts on there. My favorite, I thought the funniest was, it said, you can head south, but your mom is still riding west. So I might pick myself up a triple extra large of one of those. I thought that was pretty funny. But all in all, I couldn't believe the move. I could believe the move to move on to a team to win. I have no problem with saying I want to put winning before money. I enjoy a guy saying I want to put winning before money. I do have an issue with a guy saying, you know what, I'm going to slap my hometown in the face for an hour straight on national television.
Well, okay, maybe he did slap the team in its face. Here's the thing, though. We're all kind of speculating as far as the relationship that LeBron had with Dan Gilbert. I don't know it. Quite frankly, I don't think you know it or you know it. None of us know it. We're not there. Maybe was that a little over the top? Well, that's debatable. But when you use the word reactionary, and I want to talk quickly about the reaction and the buildup of teams around the league. Because now all of a sudden, the forces that have built up the teams, the power has shifted tremendously. You look at what Chicago's done. Okay, Chicago, they went long and hard to get LeBron James. It didn't work out, but they were to pick up Carlos Boozer, out some depth down low. Okay, they also picked up a shooter, bringing in Kyle Korver. Korver shot over 50% last year in threes. So you look at how all of a sudden, maybe, obviously they're a lot better this year as far as making a run for the title. You go look at just recently, Denver acquired Al Harrington. Okay, that's a great pickup for Denver. Guy, power forward, 17.5 rebounds. And for them, to me, it does two things. It brings much-needed youth to that ball club, but also gives them protection because Chris Anderson, the Birdman, he's going to be out to start the year, as well as Kenyon Martin. And quite frankly, you really can't bank on Kenyon Martin anymore because of a lot of the surgeries that he's had. So I certainly think that's an upgrade, especially when you get Chris Anderson coming back and Kenyon Martin to bring depth along on the bench. Orlando. Everybody's not really talking about Orlando and Boston, two teams that, hey, they're not going anywhere. Those teams aren't going anywhere. And you look at Boston adding Jermaine O'Neal, that's just more bodies down low and more fouls to give. So I certainly think Boston is going to be a threat next year for to come out the East as well.
Well, Boston and Orlando, you have to like their chemistry. The way that they've tweaked their lineups over the past 2 or 3 years and everybody still clicks is great. I mean, I worry with Orlando they have too many shooting guards and small forwards, all playing the same position, all living and dying by the three. But they click together. They make it work during the season. With the Celtics, they get older and older, but you still can't get them out of the way. And the Celtics were able to play 2/3 of the season, well, and then the other third just kind of lay in there. And they still turned it on at the right time in the postseason. You have to fear teams like that. The Celtics this year did what the San Antonio Spurs did for almost a whole decade, where they knew how to turn the switch on at the right time in the postseason. And that scares some teams in the NBA because you can't coach against that. When they know what to do at the right time, you can't beat it. The Lakers have that right now, but the most disappointing thing about this postseason or the offseason was you saw a lot of deals and moves being made on the Eastern Conference side, but not many movers and shakers in the West. I mean, Denver's made the biggest move so far, and that was by trade.
Yeah, you really haven't seen much go on in the West. When I talked about a week ago, the Los Angeles Lakers still being the favorite a year from now, and I still think they have to be. I think Miami still has to round out that lineup, round up that roster a little bit more before you can say they're the favorite. I think the Lakers still are, but I also sat here and said they were on the verge of signing Raja Bell, who of course we know now just re-signed back to Utah, where he played a couple seasons ago. So Raja Bell, not a Los Angeles Laker. I was thinking that was going to be a huge upgrade for the Lakers just on a defensive perspective. I thought you could have put Raja Bell alongside Ron Artest, and they could have guarded anybody in the league, including the Miami Heat. But you know what? They didn't do that. They didn't get Raja Bell. So that's a little bit, you got to wonder, will the Lakers make some kind of a move? Yes, they did bring in the point guard, whose name is
Steve Blake.
Sarah, thank you, Steve Blake. They brought in Steve Blake, but is that enough to keep them at the top of the heap? The Boston Celtics did bring in Jermaine O'Neal, but they needed Jermaine O'Neal, and that's a broken down Jermaine O'Neal. I don't know that he's even an upgrade over Kendrick Perkins, who they won't have through most of this season. And I did, because you brought up Dan Gilbert, I wanted to get to that real quick. First of all, Jesse Jackson, you're a moron. I wish you would see this. I know you're not gonna. You're a moron. The guy's not a slave. He made $100 million. Let's not go there anymore. We just shut up, Jesse Jackson. For crying out loud. Am I right? The guy's a moron. Also, Dan Gilbert, I'll tell you what. You got to say this. What Dan Gilbert said was rude. It was unprofessional. It was ridiculous. And it was brilliant. Because I'll tell you what. The Cleveland Cavalier fans are not buying tickets to come see that team next season without LeBron James there, if they're not behind the owner. If they think that owner didn't do what he had to do to keep LeBron James in the building, then they're never coming back. And that franchise is screwed. And they might still be screwed. But I'll tell you what, now they're behind the owner and they love him for saying everything that they think. And if you want to know what I think you should take your tickets to Danny's sporting event, get over and go see the girls at Vegas Showgirls. We'll be back after this on Jack Sports TV.